Payroll project, introduction. Warning, turning in another student's work, as always, as your own is plagiarism and will result in a failing grade. You are required to audit your work with teammates, but you must do your own work. Sharing of electronic files, even templates, is not allowed. So before recording any transactions, we're going to go over this introduction. And in the section called Narrative of Transactions, we're going to start performing steps in order, but only after reading this introduction. So let's take a peek at the step-by-step instructions, also called the Narrative of Transactions. So notice these are date related. So you don't have to worry. There's a lot of work to do. So you don't have to worry about what to do on what date. It tells us exactly what to do on what date and which dates to use and what dates to do them on. Okay. So that's where you're going to be spending most of your time in the step-by-step instructions. But let's get back to our introduction. So in this practice set, you're going to be completing the steps necessary to process payroll for the months of October through January for a service business. And the service business is called Business Bookkeeping Solutions, BBS for short. Now you can do this manually on paper using the working papers that I'm giving out to you, or you can do it in Excel, all of it or just part of it. But remember, in my other videos, I say that you need to use the round function for anything that needs to be rounded. And you must create your own spreadsheet. Using another student spreadsheet will result in a score of 0 for the project. So you also must put your name in the header of each Excel page that will be printed out. If you need help figuring out how to put your name in the header, let me know in class. So here's the broad overview of what we're going to be doing. So the payroll process includes these steps. And you don't have to memorize these steps again. Remember, you got the step-by-step instructions that will take you through it step by step, but this is just an overview. So step 1, we're going to complete the payroll register for a pay period, and then we're going to post the pay information from the payroll register to the employee earnings records. Then we will journalize employee and employer payroll in the general journal, and then anything we put in the general journal, we have to post to the ledger, and then we'll calculate our new balances, and then we'll post checks to the check register. And then at the end, after we've done 6 payroll registers, we're going to prepare the year-end tax forms. And of course, these same basic steps are followed no matter if the payroll is processed manually or if you're going to be using Excel. Now, according to the publisher, completion times will vary, of course, but estimates are that the practice set will take 8 to 10 hours to complete. That's probably bogus. It's probably going to take you longer than that. And that's why we have so much time in class and outside of class to work on this. Now, one student, I did warn students once. I said, now don't try to do this all in one weekend. And one student did. She did it all in one weekend. And she did pretty good. She did pretty well, I should say. But later she came back to the college for a visit, and she said that she regretted doing it all in one weekend because she didn't have a lot of time to check with teammates. So she was basically doing a lot of it on her own. And she regretted doing it because she said she didn't think she learned as much as if she had worked with teammates. And remember, you are required to check your work with teammates. And as I mentioned in another video, all of the employees of this company are eligible for overtime pay, even if they are salaried. That means if they're salaried and they get $2,000 per paycheck, if they work more than 40 hours in a week, they are eligible for overtime pay. So company information, BBS, Business Bookkeeping Solutions, is a sole proprietorship that started on September 15th of this year in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Since the company's brand new, cumulative earnings prior to the first payroll are 0. BBS provides bookkeeping services to small business owners and contract services to accounting firms. General company information is provided in Table 1. Now, Table 1 is in your handouts. Your Table 1 will look something similar to this. This gives the company information, their address, their phone number, their federal ID number, Department of Labor number, employer state ID number, etc. And it says that the fiscal year starts at January, ends in December. Again, that table 1 is in your handouts. So BBS processes payroll semi-monthly. If you forgot how often semi-monthly is, Google it. Pay periods end on the 10th and 25th of each month. Well, so much for Googling it. All as indicated in Table 3. Well, let's take a look at Table 3. Here's what Table 3 looks like. Notice it has the employee names, employee numbers, their wages. So you notice some people are salaried. So if someone's salary says per year and per month, they are salaried workers. Okay, and it shows their allowances, phone numbers, etc., and their deductions. Here's all their deductions. So your pay period will vary from these. So don't assume that your numbers are going to be the same and that your employees are going to be the same. Also notice in our instructions it says administrative A and office O workers are the two classifications of employees. So administrative employees are paid salaries and office workers are paid hourly. So here's our administrative people. They're paid salaried. So no matter how many hours they work, they will get just that regular pay unless they go over 40 hours in a week, in which case the company does pay them overtime. And then our office workers are all hourly workers. And then it reminds you both classes of employees are paid overtime at a rate of time and 1/2, so time and a half, of the regular pay for any number of hours that goes over 40 hours in a work week. So how to calculate regular pay. Employees with a yearly amount, you're going to take the yearly amount divided by the number of pay periods in a year. That gives them their regular pay per pay period. Employees with a monthly amount, you're going to convert that to a yearly amount and then divide that by the number of pay periods in a year. And that's their regular pay if they work 40 hours or less. Employee withholding. So BBS withholds required and voluntary employee deductions each pay period, just like all companies do. The required deductions are FIT, SIT, OSTI, and Medicare. Remember, high is Medicare. And then to calculate federal income tax, BBS uses the Internal Revenue Service tax withholding tables. So in your packet, you have 2 withholding tables for FIT that look similar to this. So this one is for single people, and this one is for married people. And in the individual tables, it tells you if the employees are married or single. So BBS makes voluntary deductions for legal services, medical insurance, dental insurance, 401k contributions, and child support payments. So that information can be found in Table 3. So here's Table 3. And then if you look over here, it says the deductions per pay period. So one person in this scenario, one person has a $150 401k contribution, 2 people have child support to pay, and they also pay for legal services. And then most employees have dental, but not all, and at least in this scenario. Remember, your scenario may vary. Your numbers may be different from these. And then everyone has medical, but the numbers could vary. Employer. Okay. Some more information. The Georgia Department of Labor, GDOL, does not require employees to contribute to SUTA. Some states do, but Georgia does not. So BBS deposits FIT and FICA, so this is FICA, FICA, FIT, monthly. Again, you don't have to remember monthly. Because if we go to our step-by-step instructions, also called the narrative of transactions, and we scroll down, it reminds you what date to pay FICA, FICA, FIT, etc. So when you get to November 15th, here's a reminder to pay FICA, FICA, FIT. So again, don't worry about memorizing all these dates. We're just giving you a broad overview now. So they're going to pay FICA, FICA, FIT monthly, so they're monthly depositor, not semi-weekly. The company deposits FUTA taxes quarterly, and state income taxes are paid monthly. And SUTA taxes are paid quarterly by electronic funds transfer, EFT. Deposits and payments are made to the authorities listed in Table 5. Let's take a quick look at Table 5. So here's Table 5. So the IRS gets these taxes, GDR, Georgia Department of Revenue, gets the state income taxes, and GDOL, Georgia Department of Labor, gets the SUTA taxes. Pre-tax deductions. Now, in another video, I mentioned about the 401k contribution. So a 401k contribution is the same as a pre-tax deduction. That's a deduction from the employee's gross earnings before federal and state income taxes are calculated. So what this means is if an employee contributes anything to a 401k, the portion that went to the 401k is not taxable for FIT or SIT, but it is taxable for the other taxes such as Medicare and OSTI. And BBS has only one pre-tax deduction, the 401k retirement plan. An amount contributed to an employee's 401k plan is deducted from the employee's gross earnings, and FIT and SIT taxes are then calculated on the difference. So do not tax them on their gross wages for FIT and SIT if they contributed to the 401k. So if I have a $2,000 paycheck, I should say $2,000 gross, and I contribute $100 to my 401k, then the amount that's taxable for FIT and SIT is the gross minus the 401k contribution. So $2,000 gross minus $100 401k contribution means only $1,900 is taxable for FIT and SIT. And FICA taxes, OSTI and Medicare, are calculated on total gross earnings, no matter if the person paid or contributed to their 401k or not. And then finally, to process and record payroll data, BBS uses the following records. They use the payroll register to record and summarize each semi-monthly payroll. So this is what the payroll register will look like. Of course, your employees will differ. So this is a blank payroll register. And notice I'm giving you total check figures. So these totals here should be the totals for whatever you calculate up here. So that's a good way to check to see if you're on the right track. Employee earnings records are used to track cumulative employee earnings and provide a summary for quarterly and annual reports. Let's look at that. So here are the employee earnings records that you have. They're blank. So when this employee number 1, whoever that is, according to your tables, whenever they get paid, you will fill this out. Fill in the total earnings, OSTI tax, Medicare tax, federal tax, state tax, 401k, etc. All these deductions, total the deductions. You write the check number here, and then the net pay goes there. And you will fill that out for each employee. And general journal and general ledger will be used, of course, to record transactions. And a separate payroll cash account will be used to ensure withholdings are remitted to the appropriate agency. So like most companies, this company has a separate payroll cash account. So anything related to payroll will need to be transferred over from the regular cash account to the payroll cash account, and then the payroll items will be paid from payroll cash. And the step-by-step instructions will tell you when to transfer money over to the payroll cash account. And the company finally will use check register to track balances and monthly deposits. Let's look at the check registers now. So here is the payroll account check register. So in here, when we write a check, you'll fill in the date, the check number, who you're paying it to, a description of the transaction, account category, and later on we'll have an example for you. And you will put either whether it was a withdrawal, a minus, or a deposit plus, and then you'll update the balance. So this is like a check register. In fact, it is a check register. And the operating account check register is the company's main checking account. So it starts with a large balance, and then as we go through the step-by-step instructions, it will tell us every once in a while to transfer money from this from this checking account to the payroll checking account. And that's it for the introduction.